Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to online class. Today we are going to revise 1-mark sums. So let's start with the revision. Solve the following 1 mark each. Sum number 1. If the radius of a circle is 2.9 centimeter, then find the length of the longest chord. So here they have given us the radius as 2.9 centimeter. And we need to find the length of the longest chord. So the longest chord of a circle is diameter. So here we need to find the diameter. But in place of giving the name as diameter, they have given us the length of longest chord. The meaning is same. So we will find the length of the diameter. First, we will write diameter is the longest chord of a circle. And what is diameter? Diameter is 2 times radius. So we will write diameter is equal to 2 into radius. Now this we will solve and we will get the length of diameter. This equal to we will copy as it is. 2 also we will copy as it is. Into sign we will copy as it is. And in place of radius we will write 2.9, which is given to us in the sum, right? So we will write here 2.9. Now here we need to multiply 2 by 2.9. So when you will multiply 2 by 2.9, your answer will be 5.8, right? So in the next step, we will write the length of the longest chord is 5.8 centimeter. Writing of unit is also important. In the sum, the unit is given as centimeter. So we will write in the answer also, final statement also centimeter. So the length of the longest chord is 5.8 centimeter. Just go to the sum. It is 1 mark sums. So it is very easy. It requires only 2 or 3 steps for solving. Now let us move to sum number 2. In the figure, segment AB is the chord of the circle with center O. If AM is equal to 4 centimeter, then find MB. So let us understand this sum with the help of the figure. You can see the figure on your screen. Here we have one circle and the center of the circle is point O. Here we can see point O. AB is the chord which is given in the sum AB, and the length of AM they have given us as 4. So here we can see AM, so I'm just writing here as 4. And we need to find MB, the length of MB. Okay, so for this we have done one theorem. Which theorem? The theorem is the perpendicular drawn from the center of a circle on its chord bisects the chord. It means this perpendicular line, which OM, can you see over here? This is a perpendicular line. This perpendicular line divides the chord AB into 2 equal parts. And which are that parts? AM and MB, right? So I said 2 equal parts. So AM is 4. So what will be MB? MB will also be 4. right? So how we are going to write this answer? We will write first the statement of the theorem. The perpendicular drawn from the center of a circle to its chord bisects the chord. Then in the next line, we will write, therefore, according to this theorem, AM is equal to MB. And we will number this as 1. In the next line, we will write AM. How much is AM given to us? It is given as 4. So here, we will write 4. Right? And we will number it as 2 and we will write the reason also. This 4 is given in the sum. Now look at 1 and 2, both. First, we have written AM and MB are equal. And then we have written AM is 4. If these two are equal and AM is 4, then MB will also be 4. So in the next line, we will write MB equal to 4. And since it is a final statement, we will write the unit also as centimeter. And the reason from 1 and 2. And put this answer in the box. So always have an habit of writing the final answer in a box if it is a small number or units like that. Okay, so just go to the sum. The sum is based on a theorem. The perpendicular drawn from the center of a circle to its chord bisects the chord. Now let us move to sum number 3. In a circle, if two chords are equidistant from the center, then those two chords are. Okay. So in this, they have given us that in a circle, there are two chords and both the chords are equidistant. Equidistant means both are at equal distance. And we need to find what these two chords are. So for understanding this, let us take an help of a figure. In this figure, you can see two chords. And the chords are chord AB and chord CD. Okay. And both the chords are at equal distance from the center of the circle, that is point O. So the distance of chord AB from center O is OM. And the distance of chord CD from the center is ON. So both these distance are equal. So what can you say about these chords? These chords are equal. This we have done in one of the theorem. So we will write the answer first congruent and then we will write the statement of the theorem also. The chords of a circle equidistant from the center of a circle are congruent. So only one line you have to write. First you have to write it is congruent and then in the bracket you can write the statement of the theorem. Both are equally important. Just go to the sum. Sum number 4. State the x coordinate and the y coordinate of the point P bracket -5, -7 and state in which quadrant does it lie. So here the point given to us is point P and they have given us the coordinates also as -5 and -7. And the first thing which we need to write is the x coordinate and the y coordinate of this point. So we will start with this. We will first write the x coordinate. Always remember the first coordinate of a number is x coordinate. Keep in mind, always whenever we are writing the point, the first coordinate is the x coordinate and the second coordinate is the y coordinate, right? So here we need to write the x coordinate. So the x coordinate over here, it is -5. So we will write here x coordinate is equal to -5. And what is the y coordinate? Y coordinate is -7. So here we will write -7. Okay. So always remember the first coordinate is x coordinate and the second coordinate is the y coordinate. Now, is this sum over? No. We need to find where does this point P lies, means in which quadrant does it lie. So for this, let us quickly revise the concept of quadrant. Here you can see the x-axis and the y-axis. And the point at which both the axes meet is called origin. And the coordinates of origin is 0, 0. Now, this is the first quadrant and the sign of this quadrant is plus. This is the second quadrant and the sign of this is plus. This is third quadrant and the sign is minus. This is fourth quadrant and the sign is minus. Now here they have given us the point as point P and the coordinates as -5 and -7. So since the first number is negative, means -5, here the first sign will be minus. The x coordinate sign will be minus. And the second number, that is y coordinate, is -7. So again it is minus. The sign of the y coordinate is minus. So both we got minus. Now look over here. Which quadrant has both the sign as minus? Or we can say both the coordinates are negative. Which quadrant has? This is quadrant 1 plus. This is quadrant 2 minus. This is quadrant 3 minus. So the point P lies in third quadrant. Okay. So in the next line we will write point P lies in third quadrant. So you have to write the spelling of third. Third quadrant. So just go through the sum. Here we have written first x coordinate, then y coordinate, and then in which quadrant this point lie, that is point P. Now let us move to the next sum, sum number 5. State which of the given points lie on the x-axis. A, -2, 0. B, 3, 4. P, 5, 0. J, 0, -8. And R, 0, -5. So here they have given us 5 points A, B, P, J and R. And among these 5 points, which points lie on the x-axis that we have to write? Okay. So for this, we need to remember that whenever the point is on the axis, one of the coordinate will be 0. Now, which coordinate will be 0? So here they have told us that the point is on the x-axis. It means the y coordinate will be 0, right? I'm repeating again. If the point is on the axis, then either x-axis or y-axis. If the point is on the axis, then one of the coordinate will be 0. Then which one will be 0? So if the point is on x-axis, y coordinate will be 0. And if the point is on y-axis, then the x coordinate will be 0. So let's solve this sum also. Here they have given, since it is on the x-axis, we will look at y coordinate only. So here point A, the y coordinate is 0, right? So here we got y coordinate as 0. It means this point is on the x-axis. Now here the y coordinate is 4. So it is not on x-axis. Here the y coordinate is 0. So again point P is on the x-axis. Here the y coordinate is -8. So even the point J is not on the x-axis because the y coordinate is -8. And the last one, point R, the y coordinate is -5. So even point R is not on x-axis. Students, you have to be careful since it is given as x-axis. So you have to see only the y coordinate. Don't see the x coordinate because you may arrive at wrong answer for this. So after solving this, I got point A and point P on the x-axis. So in the answer, we will write point A and P. Just go through the sum. It is very easy. Only one line answer and you can get 1 mark in the exam. Remember that if the point is on the x-axis, the y coordinate will be 0. And if the point is on the y-axis, then the x coordinate will be 0. Now let us move to the next sum, sum number 6. In the figure, angle PRQ equal to 90 degree. Write sin P and cos Q. So let us see the figure also. Here. So we can see the figure on the screen. This is a right angle triangle and the name of the triangle is PQR. Okay. And here the angle R is given as 90 degree. See here also you can see angle PRQ 90 degree means angle R is 90 degree. Now first of all you need to write the hypotenuse. Which side is the hypotenuse in this? Here you can see 90 degree. So the side opposite to 90 degree means side PQ. So there you write hypotenuse because it will help us to solve the problem. So first we will write that hypotenuse in the figure itself. Now let's begin with the answer. We need to find sin P and cos Q. So first of all, we will write sin P equal to, then write the formula of sin theta. So sin P is equal to opposite side of angle P upon hypotenuse equal to. Okay, I'm repeating again, writing of formula is also important and you have to learn all the formula. So the first one is sin P equal to opposite side of angle P upon hypotenuse. Now let us see where is angle P in this figure. We can see angle P over here, right? Now which side is opposite to angle P? Here. Which side it is? Side QR, or you can write RQ also, but normally we follow the alphabetical order, so I am writing QR. Okay, so here I am writing QR. Upon hypotenuse we have marked earlier only, it is PQ. So here I am writing PQ. Therefore, sin P is equal to, whatever answer we have got, we will write here also same. Therefore, sin P is equal to QR upon PQ. Next, we need to find cos Q, right? So, let me rub this first. So cos Q, first we will write the formula. Cos Q is equal to adjacent side of angle Q upon hypotenuse. So in the figure, we will see where is angle Q. We can see over here. Here it is angle Q. Then the formula is adjacent side of angle Q upon hypotenuse. Adjacent means the side next to the given angle. So here the angle given is Q, right? So which side is next to this? It is again the QR. So here also we will write QR upon hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is PQ. So we will write here PQ. So therefore we got cos Q equal to QR upon PQ. Okay. So sin P we got as sin P is equal to QR upon PQ. And for cos Q also we got the answer as QR upon PQ. Okay, the angles are different. It is here P and it is here Q. So the main answer you can put in the box. And always draw this box with the help of pencil. Okay. Just go through the sum. Writing of formula is also important. Now let us move to the next sum, sum number 7. Find sine 90 degree plus tan 45 degree. So this sum is from the chapter trigonometry. And for this, we need to remember the table. Then only we can solve such type of sums. Okay. So here you can see the table. Let us quickly revise this table also. And then we will start solving this sum. Here we have sine, cos, tan. And here we have the measures of angles as 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree. Okay. So how we are going to remember this table? So first draw the columns, row and all the columns and row, and then put the heading. And then here for the first one, let us start numbering this. How we will number this? 0, 1, 2, 3, and last column 4, right? So last number is 4. So again we will do upon 4 for all. This is one of the way of remembering this table. You can learn it also if you find it difficult. Right? And then put under root sign for everyone, for each one, sorry. No. Now, if you will cut this, you will get 0, right? And the square root of 0 is 0, right? So here first will come 0. Here, the square root of 1 is 1. And the square root of 4 is 2. So after solving this, you will get 1 upon 2. Here, this 2, we will cancel it in the table of 2. 2 ones are, sorry. Yeah, 2 ones are and 2 twos are. So the square root of 1 is 1 and the square root of 2 is under root 2. Then here, the square root of 3 is square root 3 and the square root of 4 is 2. And this 4 will get cut and you will get 1 over here. And the square root of 1 is 1. So this way you can get this first line. Okay. So for solving such type of sum, you can first make this table in the rough column and then you can start solving it. Yeah. The next line is very easy. You have to write the first line in the reverse order. Means here the last number is 1. So here it will become the first, that is 1. The second last will become second over here. And this third last will become third over here. And this second will become second last over here. And the first will become 0. Means I am writing the first line only, but in the reverse order. Means from the back side. Okay. So for 10, how we can get 10? We know the formula for 10 is sine upon cos. So what we will do after writing these two lines, that is sine and cos, right? We will write for 10, 0 upon 1. 0 upon 1 is 0. Then here 1 upon 2 upon root 3 upon 2. This 2 and this 2 will get cut. So here we got 1 and here we got root 3. So same we are going to copy for this also, 1 upon root 3. Here 1 will get cancelled, root 2 will get cancelled, and so we will get the answer as 1. So here we will write 1. Here again in denominator we have 2, here we have 2. The 2 will get cut. So you will get root 3 upon 1, which is nothing but root 3. Okay. So in the last column, if you will do 1 upon 0, the answer is not defined. So in this way, you can remember this table. And after drawing this table, you can solve this sum. Directly also you can solve. But if you have the table, then it becomes easy to solve such types of sum. Okay. So let's start with the sum now. Find sine 90 degree plus tan 45 degree. Okay. So in the answer, first we will copy the same statement as what they have given us. Sine 90 degree plus tan 45 degree. Then from the table, we will write the values. Sine 90 degree, we can see over here. See here, see it is sine and here we have 90 degree. So the value of sine 90 degree is 1. So in the place of sine 90 degree, in the next step, we will write the value as 1. Then the sign is plus, so we will copy the sign as it is. Then we have tan 45 degree. Now what is the value of tan 45? The value of tan 45 is again 1. See here you can see tan and here we have 45. So here you can see 1. So in place of tan 45 degree, we will write 1. In the next step, we will add these two numbers. 1 plus 1. How much it will be? 1 plus 1, it will be 2. Right? So after solving this, we got the value as 2. Main answer, put it in the box. Just go through the sum. Remembering of table is equally important. If you know the table or if you know the values, then you can solve it fast. Go through the sum. Now let us move to the next sum, that is sum number 8. If sin theta is equal to root 3 upon 2, then find the value of theta. So here they have given us the value, means the value of an angle, that is root 3 upon 2, and we need to find the measure of that angle, right? So sin theta is equal to root 3 upon 2 is given to us, and we need to find the value of theta. So for this also, you need to know this table. If you know the table, then the sum become very easy for us. It is only of 2 lines, but for solving this, for getting the right answer, we need to know this table. Okay, so let's begin with the sum. Sine 0 degree value is given as 0. Sine 30 degree value is given as 1 upon 2. Sine 45 degree value is given as 1 upon root 2. Sine 60-degree value is given as root 3 upon 2, right? So here also, if you will see carefully, they have given a sign and they have given the value as root 3 upon 2. So what will be the value of theta? It will be 60 degree, right? So how we are going to write this? We will first write whatever is given to us. That is, sine theta is equal to root 3 upon 2. This is given to us. So we will write this same. Sine theta is equal to root 3 upon 2. In the next step, we will write the value of this theta, which we got from the table. It is what? 60. So here we will write, therefore, sine 60 degree is equal to root 3 upon 2. So, theta therefore, theta is equal to 60 degree, right? So you have to just write 60 degree in the final statement and put that also in box. So the value of theta we got is 60 degrees. Similarly, they can give cos also, like cos theta is equal to, for example, 0. Then find the value of theta. So you have to see cos 0 degree 1, cos 30 degree root 3 upon 2, cos 45 degree 1 upon root 2, cos 60 degree 1 upon 2, cos 90 degree 0. So if in the sum it is given like this, cos theta is equal to 0. So what is the value of theta? You will write the value as 90 degree. Okay, understood. In this way they can give for 10 also. So in the same manner you can write for 10 also, right? Just go through the sum. You have to just write the measurement of the angle, that is theta. Now let us move to the next sum, that is sum number 9. Quadrilateral ABCD is a rectangle. If AB is equal to 4 centimeter, okay, quadrilateral ABCD is a rectangle. If AB equal to 4 centimeter, BC equal to 5 centimeter, then find AD and DC. State your reason. Okay. So in this sum, if you will see it carefully, the type of quadrilateral given to us is a rectangle. First thing. Then they have given us the length of two sides, that is side AB and side BC. AB as 4 and BC as 5 centimeter. We need to find the length of side AD and DC. And along with that, we need to write the reason also why we are writing AD as so much and DC as so much. So writing of reason is also equally important. And we have to write the length also of the sides which is being asked in the sum. Okay. So to understand it more nicely, let us take an exam help of a figure. Here you can see a rectangle, and the name of the rectangle is rectangle ABCD. Okay. So here AB is given as 4. So let us write in the figure. We can see AB over here, right? So I'm just writing 4 over here. And the next is BC equal to 5. So we can see BC over here. So I'm writing BC as 5. And what we need to find? We need to find AD, means this, and DC. So for this, we need to remember the properties related to a rectangle. So one of the property of a rectangle is the opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. Okay. So AB and CD both are opposite sides. So if AB is 4, DC, or we can say CD, will also be 4 because it is a rectangle and rectangle has opposite sides equal. And again here BC is 5. So what will be AD? AD will also be 5. So in this way we can write AD as 5 and DC as 4. Okay. One of the property of rectangle, we can say that each angle of a rectangle are of 90 degree. This also we need to remember. It is important, even though it is not required in this sum, but we must know that also. Okay. Now how we are going to write this answer for this sum? First, we will write the property of the rectangle which we are using for solving this sum. That is, opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. This first we have to write. It is important because it is given. State your reason why you are writing it. Okay. In the next step, we will write AB, side AB side AB is equal to side DC, because both are opposite sides, right? So both are equal to 4 centimeter. In the next step, we will write, therefore, side BC equal to side which side will come here? We can see BC, which is opposite to that side, side AD, right? So here we will write AD. And what is the length of BC given to us? It is given to us as 5. So we will write side BC is equal to side AD is equal to 5 centimeter. So writing of units, it is also important. Don't forget to write it in the paper. Okay. Just go through the sum. Now let us move to the last sum, that is sum number 10. State with reason whether the statement every square is a rhombus is true or false. So here we have to first write whether the statement given to us is true or false. And after writing that, we have to write the reason also why we are writing it as true or as false. Okay. So let us see the statement again. It is been given as every square is a rhombus. The statement is every square is a rhombus, right? So this statement is true. And why it is true? Because a rhombus is a quadrilateral. If all of its sides are equal, a quadrilateral, if it has all the sides equal, we called it as a rhombus. Means rhombus is having all the sides equal. In same way, in square, all the sides are equal. So square also has all the sides equal and rhombus also has all the sides equal. Hence, we can say that every square is a rhombus. So the statement is true. First, you have to write whether it is true or false and then write the reason also. So I am repeating again. A rhombus is a quadrilateral if all of its sides are equal. In square, all sides are equal. Hence, every square is a rhombus. Just go through the answer. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.